It's time to learn the third shot drop from beginning to advance. I'm going to be showing you 4 different types of third shot drops today. We're going to start with the very basics and end with a really disgusting third. Let's get started. I want to show you some of the basics here on the baseline. Then we're going to get into some of the strokes. The most important part of any third shot drop are these things right here. Feet first, swing later. I want to show you what this looks like. So as the ball's coming over, I'm going to get my feet in position first, and then I'm going to swing through the shot. I'm going to be showing you different angles here, but always remember, with all of these shots that I'm showing you today, feet first, swing later. Feet in position, then I can swing through the shot. That is always going to be the case. So to get started with the beginner third shot drop, we're going to make this very simple, and we're going to use our shoulder. So we're not going to care about our wrist, we're not going to care about our elbow. All we're going to care about is our shoulder. And we almost want to pretend like we're a clock and we're going from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. 3 to 9. And just think about that. Really easy. Another cool metaphor that I can use here is imagine you're at your fridge and you're filling up your glass with ice. And you know how sometimes an ice cube will fall onto the floor, and then maybe you kick it underneath the fridge, but then you're thinking, I probably shouldn't do that. So you pick it up and you face your sink, right? And you're facing your sink, and you don't want to throw it too high, because if you do, it may crumble and then it'll explode everywhere. But you don't want to throw it too low, because then it may swoosh out of the sink. So you kind of get it just right, and you do like that. And you're trying to throw it perfectly so that it will land softly in the sink. That is how you want to look at this third shot drop. I'm just going to use my shoulder. So if the ball comes over here, get in position, and then just use my shoulder. You may have a little bit of elbow breakage here towards the very end. That's okay. But in terms of the swing, and especially before impact, you just want to use your shoulder only. Like that. Don't really worry about how the ball is behaving. You just want to get used to this mechanic. What's going to happen is, considering that we're not breaking any of these other joints here, or at least not too much, the ball is going to go up a little bit high. That is normal. We're going to fix that later. But if you're more of a beginner, then this is how you want to get started. So watch again. Feet first, swing later. And then just use that shoulder to come through the ball. Notice how I'm not accelerating through the shot. Acceleration is this. Okay. So you notice how I really sped through the shot all of a sudden. That's acceleration. With the third shot drop, there's not a lot of acceleration as much. So to show it to you from this angle now, I just want you to watch feet first and then use your arm. Notice how that bounced up a little bit high. Again, we're gonna take care of that. And notice also, I'm really not taking back the paddle very far. You really don't have to. You just have to take it back a little bit. If you want to take it back all the way like you do with the serve, you're just going to have to be careful, because your paddle is going to have more travel time into the ball, which is probably going to increase the amount of power. So I'm not going to take it back very far, and I'm just going to use my arm to come through the shot. That is it. So just sit here and practice this. But here's the thing though, you can practice it like this, but is this realistic? It's not. You're not going to be in these situations. So what I want to show you instead is I'm going to serve to Ryan, and then Ryan's going to return, and then I'm going to do my third. This is way more realistic. Okay, just like that. That's how you practice reality. When it comes to drilling, there's 2 different things. There's drilling for the mechanics of a shot, and then there's reality training. And this is reality training. I highly recommend to do like what we were doing when Ryan was at the net, and then doing actual full serving. That way you can get used to what it actually feels like. Now, as I said, some of those third shot drops be a little bit archy, a little bit too high. What happens if they go too high like that is they'll bounce high, and your opponent can kind of roll the ball over, especially at the more advanced level. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to get that third a little bit lower. This is stepping up a little bit. So when we come through the shot, you're going to do the exact same thing that you were doing before, but you're really going to let go of this paddle and kind of let it lag behind a little bit. And you almost want to feel like you haven't had like a source of iron in a while, and you're super weak and kind of like lethargic, and you sort of like this, like hold your arm like this and let your wrist flop around. That's kind of what you want to do, so that when your arm and your shoulder are pushing your arm through or pushing your paddle through the shot, your paddle kind of lags behind. What that's going to do is give you a little bit lower trajectory. So I'm going to do the shot and then I'm going to do a little comparison where I'll show you the difference, okay? Ball comes over and I'm just going to allow that paddle to kind of lag behind, and I have no grip pressure here. This grip pressure is really one of the most important parts here. That's how that ball is going to go a lot lower instead of screaming up into the air. So feet first and then through like that. And I'm really letting go of this. And what's happening is that instead of the paddle being like this, where the ball is going to go up, it's more like this. And so the ball is going to go lower, and that is going to help it to not bounce so high. Now, that introduces some other issues, mainly that your opponent can now volley the ball, right? But it's a lot better than having it sit up, especially at higher levels. And you can kind of make these like, I don't want to get up right now at 6 a.m. noises, you know, like, I don't want to do this. You know, I just feel like that. Nice. Really try to push the paddle forward, and it's almost like I'm also showing my logo to you, right? So if the paddle is like this, then my opponent really can't see the logo of the paddle, but if it's like that, they can really see it, right? So I'm kind of like showing it by pushing my wrist forward and letting that paddle lag behind. This is really effective at getting that ball a lot lower, and it puts a little bit of topspin on there too, but we'll talk about that later. All right, so you notice how low that went, and it's almost like a drive, but not quite. So what we want to do now is introduce a backhand third. So typically what's going to happen if the ball comes down the middle, the vast majority of you are left-handed, the forehand is going to take the shot in the middle, right? But what happens if the ball is over here? In my case, this will be my backhand. What most people do when they do their backhand is they do something like this, where their stance is open and they cut across like that out of desperation. Understandably so, backhand shots can be difficult. Here is how you can introduce a backhand third shot drop quite easily. The point of this though is that you really want to make sure that you go cross court. I'll show you the other angle in just a bit. Here's how you do this. Footwork is the most important thing. So if you're here and you notice that you're gonna have to do a backhand, you have to turn to the side like this. There's really no other option, because if you don't, then I can't get this paddle back because my chest is in the way, because I'm having to reach across my body. See how that works? So if I just turn instead, look how much room I have to do the stroke. That makes things so much easier. You'll be able to actually do the shot, and it'll give you a lot of confidence. So turn, and then when you bring the paddle back, you have to make this as simple as humanly possible. Push the paddle forward and make sure that you don't see the top of your paddle here. So you see how I can see the top here? I don't want to see that. See how I can see the bottom now? That is how you want to do it. Because what will happen is if your face is open like this, you're going to cut underneath the ball, and it's going to introduce a lot of inconsistency, because sometimes it will go really far, sometimes it won't. A slice third is different. What we're working on is more of a flat third where you don't have a lot of spin. So push the paddle forward, and it's almost like, as well, pretend I have a watch here. Unfortunately, I have it on my left wrist. You know what? Okay, I went ahead and switched it around here. But notice how I'm like pointing my watch at my opponent. See how I'm doing that? I'm pointing it at you, right? So I'm not like this where I can see my watch. I can see my watch just fine. I want to show my opponent my watch. And notice what happens? The paddle is pointed straight forward. That is how you do this shot consistently. Turn, push the paddle forward, make sure you don't see the top, and my watch is pointed at my opponent. I'll keep my watch over here on this side so that you can see. Turn, push the paddle forward. Can't wait to show this to you. But notice how I'm just pushing it forward. Do not let this paddle be up like this, like that instead. Good. Turn, push the paddle forward. Turn, push the paddle forward. Turn, Push the paddle forward. All right, level 4. One of the hardest shots in the game, the third shot dive. This is a topspin third. I did a video on this like 4 years ago. Extremely difficult shot, not easy. If you're not used to topspin, then please stick with the previous drops. This is really tough. I want to cover it. First of all, topspin grip. What we've been doing with the previous shots is a continental grip like this, where the V points towards your chin. As a right-hander, rotate your hand to the right. This gives you that topspin grip, makes this a lot easier. You have to wait for a backspin return. Doing a topspin third on a flat or a topspin ball is very difficult to do. Wait for some backspin instead. So when that slice return comes over, that's a great time to try this shot, because it'll sit up nicely. You come down, so you fling your paddle down like this, drop your paddle down, and then you windshield wiper across your body like this, and you finish up here. There is acceleration in this shot. Very difficult to do. Again, I am warning you about this. So topspin like this. Very difficult to do. Let me show you kind of what it mechanically looks like. So what we're going to do actually is I'm going to get the ball, and then I'm going to serve this to Ryan, because you really can't practice this if someone is sitting at the net. So I'm going to topspin serve, and hopefully I'm going to get a cut out of him, which means I'm going to aim to his backhand. So I'm going to aim to his backhand, and he's going to slice it, and that's when I do that stroke. So again, topspin serve to the backhand. There we go. So you notice how the way I came up on that, down, and then swipe across your body. Very difficult to do. Again, I won't keep repeating that, but oh yeah. These are getting more difficult to do because the backspin is coming off the ball. This is typically better on a third. It's a lot more difficult to do on the 5th, 7th, and 9th shots because your opponent is not putting a lot of backspin on the ball. A lot of the spin is coming off now. I want you to really watch the curvature of the third as it goes over. Okay, perfect example. So what happened there? First of all, forced a short hop out of Ryan. Really powerful. If your opponent's fourths are short hops, that is really good, because what that means is they didn't have time to back up and take it on a bounce, which meant that you had a lot of aggression and topspin on the third. The other thing is, what are they going to do? They're bouncing, they're hitting a shot that is this low on the ground, which means it has to travel high in order to get over the net. So what that means is that you can come in and poach the ball, put it away, or it will force a shorter dink. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do the same exact thing I just did, but I'm actually going to come in and put pressure on Ryan, okay? Oh, that was so good, but that's not really what I wanted to show. Oh, dude. All right, just for fun, if I leave that in there, that's the kind of third that you can do if it's way over on your side, a topspin third. But the difference though is that we finish over here on our right side and not cross over. Just, that's in case I leave that in there. That's the power of the topspin third. It allows you to get to the net, but you've got to wait for the perfect return, and you have to make sure that you do this shot right. If you're messing up on this over and over and over again, which is going to happen, happens to me, you got to go back to the basics. Oops. Oops. Guys, I hope that was helpful. That is how you can progress with your third shot drops. Always remember that if you're having trouble with one of the more advanced shots, just take a step back and focus on those basics first and foremost. Always remember, feet first, swing later. That is the most important element by far. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you next time.